Again, the debate that everybody is just watching and waiting and excited to see what is going to happen when both of those candidates take the stage. Right now, I do want to bring in political analyst Brian Sobel, who's able to answer just a few of our questions before this debate kicks off. Brian, again, this is highly anticipated. We do need to know a little bit more, if you can speak to it. Maybe what are these two strategies before they step to that stage? Of course, former President Donald Trump already participating in one presidential debate this year, but Vice President Kamala Harris hasn't had her chance yet to start speaking.
Christina, to your point about preparation, actually, Donald Trump has debated 7 times on the national level. Kamala Harris, maybe once, although take nothing away from her. She has spent a lot of time in court rooms and speaking in public. Debating is a different skill set, of course, but we should learn, I think, a lot from both of these candidates tonight because of a couple of things. One is that the debate is 90 minutes long and you can explore a lot of subjects. And 2 is we're going to see temperament tonight, whether Donald Trump is goaded into getting angry or Kamala Harris is goaded into saying something where it is going to stick and be problematic for her as she moves forward. So lots on the line tonight and a lot of eyeballs, Christina, tonight watching this, I'm sure.
Absolutely. And of course, we've been also aware that former President Donald Trump, again, as you said, he's already spoken on the national stage, but he still has certain points he wants to drive home potentially to those undecided voters that will be tuning in tonight as well. What can you say about what those points are and what should be his strategy up on stage to make sure he's able to get those points across?
He has to maintain his composure to start with. And I think he has to come in there in a little while here with 3 or 4 message points. He has to, and stick with those. He has to talk about the economy and how the economy was better under his administration than the Biden administration. He has to talk about crime. He has to talk about domestic and international politics. And he has to talk about the situation on the southern border. And he has to continue to prosecute the case that the Biden administration, ergo Kamala Harris as the vice president, did not handle all of these subject matters in a way that benefited America. And he's got to stick to that. The minute he starts wandering or riffing, which he has a habit of doing, I think the audience will pick up on it. And by the way, I think that will provide the openings that Kamala Harris is being briefed to try to exploit if it happens.
And we also know, of course, with Vice President Kamala Harris getting ready to step on the stage, she's kind of shied away from the media so far in this pursuit of office right now. Of course, we do know that she was able to sit down and speak with CNN. And so we were able to see a little bit more about her policies. But what should she really be focusing on that could show that she's different from former President Donald Trump for those undecided voters who are thinking, hey, maybe this guy's not right for me. What can Harris say to win those voters over?
It's an excellent question because it's the contrast between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, and we've discussed what I think Trump needs to do coming in. Here's what I think Kamala Harris has to do coming into the debate tonight. I think she has to be very specific, again, around 4 or 5 issues. She has to know her facts. She has to prosecute the case around those 4 or 5 subjects. She has to parry, I think, effectively with the former president. And I think she needs to be a little clever about that. I don't think she needs to rise to his challenges. He's going to try to draw her out a little bit. But I think if she can remain calm, go back to her subjects that I think she needs to discuss with the American people, I think she'll have a good night. This is not a forum, again, as we said at the top of the interview, that she's spent a lot of time in on a national level. But again, lots riding on this tonight. A huge national audience, at least for part of the debate. If it gets kind of boring, people will wander away as they typically do in these things. But for the first half hour or so, I think it's going to be a substantial number of American households that will tune in to get a confirmation or an affirmation of what they think these candidates are all about.
And Brian, right before we let you go, I do have to ask you, of course, we know that these swing states have been of the utmost important this election cycle, as they always are. Philadelphia is one of those swing states. And also right now in the heart of Philadelphia, we've seen those Gaza war protesters out there making sure their voices are heard. This should be a pretty big sticking point. How do you think these candidates are going to each handle that big question?
Well, to your point, Pennsylvania is an important state, and the debate is in Philadelphia tonight. So I think that that's symbolically very important, and in fact, it's important. How one of the subjects that I think will come up is the handling of the Gazan situation. The negotiations that have been going on for a very long time between the Biden administration and the governments of Bibi Netanyahu and Hamas, which haven't produced anything, and Donald Trump's declaration that if he wins the election, the war will be over before he's sworn in. All questionable questionable thoughts and questions that need to be answered as we go forward. But I think that will be one of the 4 or 5 issues that will be discussed tonight, and Kamala Harris has to be ready to answer it. And frankly, I think Donald Trump needs to take a more realistic view of what he can accomplish in the Middle East. Just saying you're going to end the war is not the solution to the problem.
That's Brian Silva, political analyst, just answering a few of our questions ahead of this major presidential debate. Brian, thank you so much for your time. We certainly appreciate it.
Absolutely, Christina. Have a great evening.
You too.